Hi, my name is Alyssa Miller, and I love to talk about movies. Not only do I like to talk about movies, but I like to understand how a billion-dollar DC kind of spin-off-y movie turned into this. That's right, folks, we are talking about Joker Folie deux, which guys, I'm pretty impressed. If you took French 1, let me know how I did. And y'all, this was a movie. Now, so for context, I was part of the group of people who really enjoyed the first movie. I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought the idea was really cool. I thought it was so edgy and different, and it's something I've never seen before in a DC cinematic movie. Sure, the Batman came out a few years later and brought some of that grittiness with it, but we never saw the Joker be like Robert De Niro in The King of Comedy, So I was on board for it. I liked it. Sue me. And so when Joker 2 was announced, I was pretty excited for it, and I was even more excited when I found out it was a musical, because I am a girl who loves a musical. If there's one thing you need to know about me, I love singing. I like the fantasy of it all, Give it to me. I want it. Give it to me, please. I don't care if you get actors who can't sing. I love La La Land. Also, yes, I am. It's October, so I am wearing my most festive shirt that I have. And then the reviews for Joker 2 came out from TIFF and Venice, and I got nervous. People weren't loving it, and that's fair. I mean, no, not a lot of people liked the first Joker, but it did make $1 billion and it did win an Oscar. So no matter what, I was going to go see this movie, despite what people were saying. And so I sat down at my local AMC with a bunch of other people and kind of just let the experience wash over me. And here I am to tell you my general thoughts, to break down this plot, to tell you what could have been better, what worked, and why I don't know how to really feel about this movie, because I feel like it hates me. I'm all for a high concept movie. I really appreciate when a studio allows the filmmaker to take an actual risk, and whether that risk pays off or not, you have to appreciate a movie for being willing enough to take a risk and being willing enough to land flat on its face, because I couldn't handle that embarrassment. I mean, why would I tell people how to find anything that I post online? I'm not actively seeking to be criticized. Okay, anytime you're making a big budget movie with notable actors and then you're making it a musical, you're asking to be criticized. And having your own opinion on something works, but you have to execute a high concept well enough for it to be purposeful. If it's a high concept and it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And there's no way around it. And unfortunately, if you're doing a musical, know how to write a musical. Get Lin-Manuel Miranda, my other nemesis, or get Damien Chazelle and sit down and learn how to write a musical. Or even talk to Baz Luhrmann. I love him. I don't like his musicals, but at least he knows how to make one. I also think that Lady Gaga's talents were not fully utilized, and I think that falls on the fact that Joaquin Phoenix is not a singer. He's a performer, but he's not a singer, and so she has to come down to meet him, and that stinks because simply you have Lady Gaga not being Lady Gaga, and all you want her to do is be Lady Gaga. The vision isn't clear. In my written review, I asked who was this movie made for, because the incels who love the first movie are not going to watch this movie because it's a musical. And then the people who criticize people for liking the movie are not going to watch this movie because they're why would I watch a movie made for people that I disagree with on a fundamental level? And so then you're just left with this amount of people who are wanting to love this movie, and yet you're telling the audience who willed this movie into existence to literally fuck off. It's tough. It's tough to be a girl who wants to love a movie. And you can see what this movie wants to be in the glimmering, shining moments of it. Especially the last 20 minutes, you really see what this movie wants to say and what it wants to be. And the commentary is surface level. I mean, hello, watch the first movie. And that's okay. Give me surface level commentary. I don't care, as long as you're making something that I can find enjoyment in. And yet when you're actively saying that you shouldn't find entertainment in people's misery, and to combat that, you're gonna make us miserable. That's just a really tough sell. How do you sell that concept? I guess you make $1 billion movie first, and then you get creative freedom to do whatever you want. Sure. It's kind of what Apple is doing, where they're just giving prestige filmmakers a blank check to make whatever project they want, and then like those movies do not make money because they're not like, there's no entertainment value behind it. And it sucks to say that like to make a good movie or like a well-perceived piece of art, it has to be entertaining and profitable, because that just feels like you're sucking the soul out of what like art is. But movies are part art, part business. Like there's a blend, like a financial, well, I won't say a financial blend, but like a blending of the two that is essential. It's essential, and it stinks to see it really blow up on like such a monumental level and then get the finger pointed at you saying that you're the problem. And that's kind of what I feel like Joker Folie à Deux is doing. It's a complicated movie, which is why I brought wine to discuss this. It frustrates me that the movie is what it is because I can see the thing that it wants to be. And what does it want to be? Let's get into it. I'm going to be talking about the movie. I'm going to be talking about plot points that will spoil things. I am giving away the ending, so if you don't want to see it, sure. Don't listen to me. This is your time to leave, to go watch the movie and then come back and then like, let's gab. And yeah, I'm also gonna talk about my thoughts. So like, these are my opinions. If you have different opinions, please let me know what they are in the comments. Like, I would really love to hear what you think, because this is a movie that I feel like if you think too hard about it, it starts to unravel, and that is Lana Del Rey's summer hit, Tough. So yeah, grab a snack and let's get into it. So the like general premise for this movie is it's taking place like 2 years after the events of the first movie, and it's a very like much a court procedural like drama, which I love a courtroom. Watch My Cousin Vinny if you want a really good movie. And the stage is set with like a very old-fashioned Warner Brothers cartoon, so think like Merry Medleys or like Looney Tunes, that whole kind of vibe. So like if you go to like the Vista or like pretty much any like old school theater in like Los Angeles or New York, I don't know, guys, I know what I know, but they play cartoons before the movie shows, which is really, really cool. I really love it. I think it's like such a cool way to like program things, but the cartoon is kind of pointless. Like it just like, it's a quick like recap. It's a Joker-esque recap of what happened in the first movie, which is like he killed a man on TV. What else do you need to know? But I thought it was like setting up the 1950s, 1960s energy of like those like dying age golden musicals, and I was so sat and ready for it. I was like, yes, give me some original songs. I want this and I love it. And I did listen to Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn album that she released in companion with this movie like a week ago, and sitting in my car listening to it, I was like, why are we singing The Saints Are Marching In? Like, why are we singing jazz standards? Like, what is this? Nobody knows. Well, now we know. After the cartoon is over, we are picking up with Arthur Fleck, and things are abysmal. He's at the Arkham State Hospital, and things are grim. Like, he's waking up each morning with a bucket of piss. He's dumped in the sink with everybody. People are not well. No one is getting any help, and people are constantly being harassed by the police. Like, what's new? And to top it off, Brendan Gleeson is just whistling his little ass off, and it's really annoying. And there's one thing I hate, it's whistling. I hate whistling when it's not like smooth jazz and sexy. When you're just doing it to be loud and obnoxious, get it out of here. I hate whistling. And it's not because I can't whistle. I can whistle, but I don't want to hear it. Get it away from me. But here's the thing, even though like he is in what I would call a level of hell, Arthur is like trying to be kind, you know, to the other prisoners who's with him. Even when like the police officers are being like absolute jack-offs, he's like, I'm gonna do what I can to survive. I'm gonna do what I can to be unnoticed. I'm just having a very bad time, and nothing is working in my favor. Arthur is not, in this moment, a cruel man who's willing to play a game that's rigged against him. But things are about to change. That's right, because he is going to trial. His lawyer is planning to argue that Arthur has like a personality disorder, and that the Joker is just one of those personalities, and that's who did all the murdering in the first movie. He is the one who killed 5 people. Now I know what you're wondering. You're like, wait, 5 people? Didn't he kill blah, 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 blah? That's 6. Yeah, nobody knows about his mom. And what I love about this lawyer is that like she actually cares about Arthur as a person. Like she actually sees him as a human being and is like, oh, you actually need help. Like you need someone to actually help you like survive this insane world that we're living in that is like willing to chew people up and spit them out in the streets and be like, well, that's your fault. And before Arthur and Brendan Gleeson kind of meet up with Arthur's like current lawyer, we walk past the music room and I hear a voice that sounds like a voice I know. We see Lady Gaga and she's like, ooh, is that? But we don't really we don't have time at this moment. Don't worry, she will come back very shortly. Because like in a couple of scenes, Brendan Gleeson's like, hey, Arthur, I got you into the music therapy class. You're welcome. And everyone's like, well, why did you do that? And he's like, press, cool. So we get to meet Lady Gaga's character, Miss Harley Quinn, but she's gonna be called Lee for this entire movie, which honestly pisses me off. She confides in Arthur that she kind of grew up in the same neighborhood. Her dad was like a piece of shit who beat her up. He died in a car crash. And her mom thought she was kind of crazy because she burnt down the entire apartment complex. So she got sent to this Arkham hospital. And she's like, yeah, the world's a little fucked up. And it's people like you and me, i.e. the Joker and me, who are gonna fix it. And Arthur's like, sure. You're cute. And I like that you're talking to me. And are you real? And she's like, yes. He's like, cool, because my last girlfriend was not real. But the thing is that like Lee is only interested in Arthur because he's the Joker. She's only like really interested in the Joker, not Arthur as a person. Joker as the concept and as like the walking human flesh bag that he is. And I honestly don't ever think that Lee ever calls Arthur by his real name. I think she just like kind of refers to him as like the Joker. And that is a bit concerning. The concern is in the room with us right now. So after he meets Lee and he's like, I'm in love with this woman because she is a girl. He finds out he's going to trial because he has been deemed sane enough for a trial. When fellow prisoners ask like, hey, how do you feel about going to trial? He's like, you know what? I don't know how to express how I'm feeling, so let me sing how I'm feeling. Okay, here's the thing about the musical numbers. They work, but they don't work. Because here's what's going on. I did believe that for a minute we were in like a reality situation and I'm like, oh, so we're just gonna be singing in the real world? That's weird. I don't like that. I love a musical number, don't get me wrong, but it cuts to him just thinking about having a musical number in his head. I was like, oh, I love this. I love that we're like in the fantasy world, that like eventually you could see that the cracks are going to break and that fantasy world is going to bleed into the reality. So it's like when he's singing, he's Joker. When he's not singing, he's Arthur. I'm very curious of how this is all going to play out. We're going to see how it works. Spoiler alert. Doesn't work. So yes, all you need to know is that pretty much anytime the Joker sings or anytime Arthur is singing, it's the Joker. I really wish we got Damien Chazelle in this. Like, it would have been so much better. But you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. I wish this was La La Land meets Joker, but it's not. It's not. So during a different music therapy session, which takes place at night, and I don't know much about like mental institutions, call me ignorant, but the only thing I know is based off of like Riverdale. So like, guys, I'm not the person to like talk about these things. I could just talk about how I'm feeling and like what it says to me. But I don't think that therapy sessions take place at night. But during one of these like therapy sessions, Lee's like, we should get out of here. And Arthur's like, I'm locked in for this movie. She's like, okay, what if I just set fire to a piano? He's like, I guess I'll leave now, sure. And you know what? They kiss and it's beautiful. And Arthur's like, I'm loving life. And Lady Gaga's like, me too. That's why I'm gonna sing about it. Now, why is she singing? Are we still in like the fantasy world? No, we're in reality. And it's like it's like annoying. I wish I understood what was happening with the singing. So Arthur gets taken away. He gets put in solitary confinement. He sleeps and has this like really cool dream sequence of him and Lee dancing. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's like, oh, love is love. And then Lee shows up in the solitary confinement cell and she's like, hey, they think you're a bad influence, so I'm gonna go. So goodbye. They have sex. It's very awkward. It's very funny. I laughed a lot. I was like, ooh, I don't like this. And Lady Gaga leaves. Time for trial. Well, wait, not time for trial yet. I'm so sorry. We have to get through another iconic scene. Basically, the Joker gets a TV interview because he's like this huge media personality. It's like the Menendez brothers who have like the current Ryan Murphy show on Netflix and are constantly being interviewed. It's like we've made a celebrity out of a criminal. I mean, that's what it is. Like, they made a TV movie off of the Joker and his murder spree. They're getting another in-person interview with him. They're gonna televise the trial just because they want the viewership. And I get it. We shouldn't make entertainment out of like people who are dangerous, but we also shouldn't make entertainment out of people who just need help, and we should actually help them. And the only person who's like willing to help Arthur is his lawyer. But during his TV interview, he's like, nobody understands me, nobody wants to help me, and it's really upsetting, and I love my girlfriend. And he's like, you know what if I sing about it? And he sings, and I love it because it's like, now we're seeing how Lee is bringing out the Joker again, and it's just a standout scene. Like, A+. And this is how I wish the movie was, but it's not. So, all right, court is in session. The assistant district attorney, Harvey Dent, is actually the flop of the century right now because Arthur's lawyer is cunting up the place hard. She's like, so the system has failed my client, and that's kind of fucked up. Everyone's like, note it. But Lee's in the background going, I think we wanted the chaos, and this is giving sympathy, and we don't want that. And Lee is like, your lawyer is kind of fucking you over, which she is not. And she's like, you should fire her. And Arthur's lawyer is like, Lee is lying to you straight up. Like, first of all, she is the one who checked herself in to the mental institute. Her father is alive. Also, she's a psychiatric, like, graduate. Like, she has a degree, and she's from the Upper East Side. Like, everything she has told you has been a lie. And so Arthur, like, calls her out on it. He's like, what do you mean? And she's like, I lied a little bit. And what? Like, what do you want me to say? Also, I'm pregnant. I'm sorry. And Arthur's like having a really hard time. So what does he do when he has a hard time? That's right, we go into a fantasy musical sequence. It's giving Sonny and Cher. It's giving everything you want this movie musical to be, but is not. And at some point, him and Gaga are singing, and Gaga, like, takes over the show, and she's just like, I'm living my life. I am a performer. I am a pop star. Look at me. And we go, yes. And he's like, well, the movie is called Joker, and yet here I am feeling like chopped liver. And she's like, okay, do you want to give the people what they want? And he's like, let's give the people what they want. And she goes, great. And she shoots him. Guys, the metaphor is there, and it's not that dense, and yet we still have an hour left of the movie. Yeah, so it's a bit complicated. He's gonna be a father, I guess, if that's not a lie. All you need to know is that, like, Lee is a manipulator, and she just wants the Joker for whatever her, like, chaotic purpose is. And here's the crazy thing about this whole, like, idea of the Joker and, like, the people who support him. It's like the people who are on the fringes, but who are not being shunned or failed by the society. It's just the people who are upset with it. Do they want to do anything? I can't tell. They just like the Joker because he's a chaos maker, yet they don't want to stand behind the person, just the idea. But then once the person is gone, does the idea live on? I don't know. And yet when something happens later in the movie, everyone is like, oh, that's not what we want to hear, so we're gonna leave. I also didn't mention it earlier. Before the TV interview, Arthur kisses his lawyer because she's the only person who actually sees him as Arthur, and she, like, rejects him, and she's like, oh, no, I want to help you. He's like, oh, okay. But Lee likes to kiss me and support me when I'm being a maniacal, like, monster. So I think I'm gonna be that because that's how I get the thing that I crave. So, and, like, if only his lawyer was like, yeah, we can kiss, then, like, things would be fixed. But, like, we can't fix things with kissing. I mean, no, we can't. No, we can't. And so Arthur, listening to Lee's really bad advice, fires his lawyer in court and says, I'm gonna represent myself. What could go wrong? And while, like, people support his, cojones, I guess, he gets the literal shit kicked out of him by the prison guards. It's so tough that at one point he gets SA'd by the police officers, and then one of his best buddies, like, gets murdered. And so Arthur's like, ooh, I should really, like, reflect on everything that I'm doing, because it seems like it's pretty rough. Seems like anytime I'm the Joker, things go pretty south. And so at court, Miss Zazie Beetz shows back up, and she's like, yeah, he scared me a lot when he broke into my house and was telling me he was having a really bad day. But I didn't know him. I know his mother. And his mother said that he was the flop of the century and that he wasn't special and that he should die. And, like, poor Arthur is like, okay, so character assassination of Arthur Fleck, boom, dead. So we move on to the next witness, which is Gary Puddles, which is Arthur's former co-worker. In the first movie, he's the guy who witnessed the guy's death in the apartment, and he escaped. Like, the Joker spared him. And he's like, oh, I'm traumatized now. And so, like, on the stand, the Joker's interviewing him, and is like, so why are you even here? Like, I saved you. Like, I spared you. You should be thanking me. And Gary's like, no, you were the only person who was, like, kind to me, because he has dwarfism. And he's like, everyone looks at me like I'm a freak. And you were the only person who, like, actually was kind to me. And then you murdered somebody in front of me. And now I feel terrified for my life. And it's really, like, it's a really moving moment. And it's the most powerful moment, I really think, in the film. And, like, even when he walks off the stand, like, people are laughing at him. And it's like, guys, he's fucked up and no one's helping him. Like, what are we doing here, like, as a society? Like, you guys don't care about the actual people who need help. You just care about chaos. And that's not good enough. And it's, like, really unfortunate because, like, Lee's character is only there to make Arthur angry. And, like, he doesn't know how to deal with his anger. And so it comes out as aggression. And, like, there are people, very few, mind you, who actually want to help, like, control the anger and help him figure out what's happening in his life. But because he does not know how to control his anger, it comes out. And then what makes it worse is that it comes out as a musical number. That's not that fun to watch. But yeah, I think at this point, Arthur is realizing that Joker is probably like a bad idea because he's miserable. Like, he's having a really tough time going, what good does the Joker actually do for me? And the answer is nothing. Like, it's not getting him out of jail. It's not making people in his life feel better about existence. To make matters worse, like, his friend is dead in prison, so he's like even more isolated than before. So at the court the next day, he's kind of wearing the Joker makeup and he's like, okay, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not feeling it, guys. Like, I'm gonna throw the towel. And he does. He like reveals to the jurors, he's like, I killed another person. I really do need help, and I'm having a really hard time handling, like, existing. And you know how Lee responds? She goes, oh, I think I'm gonna leave. And she leaves. And he's like, oh, yikes. And so while he's waiting back in the holding cell, and he gets confirmation that the jurors are back after an hour of deliberation, he calls Lee and he's like, hey, will you come back to the courthouse? Things aren't looking really good. I'm gonna sing you a song because I'm still trying to play the Joker for you to love me. He goes back into the courtroom. He is, guys, surprising enough, he's guilty. And how is he gonna get out of this? Somebody blows up the courthouse. Who? Couldn't tell you. And we get a little bit of fan service. We see that Harvey Dent is like badly scarred on half of his face. Cool. And then he, like, Arthur just walks out and he gets picked up by two of his big fans. They're just like, we're gonna protect you. And he goes, I have to find Lee. Like, I'm so sorry, my wife or my baby mama needs me. I'm gonna go find her. Goodbye. He finds her on the stairs by his old apartment and he's like, hey. And she's like, oh, why are you here? Like, I thought we ended things. And he's like, no, we could run away together. She goes, what? I'm sorry, what are you talking about? He's like, you know what you said, like, we could run away and make like a family, like, you have my child in you. And she's like, I'm not pregnant. What made you think that? So yeah, she's just like, everything was just a fantasy and you killed the dream when you denounced Joker. Why do I want to be around you if you don't want to have like this fantasy life? And he's like, because reality is real and I'm going to die. And she's like, well, I like the fantasy, I like the entertainment, and if you're not willing to provide that, see you later, dude. And so what happens next? Oh, he just gets arrested and goes back to jail. So yeah, I think he just is waiting another trial because, like, everyone died. Lawyer friends tell me if, like, this is real, but when the courtroom explodes, is that a mistrial? And as he's, like, going, I don't know how this happens, but he's going somewhere, he gets isolated with another prisoner. The prisoner's like, you want to hear a joke? And Arthur's like, whatever. At this point, sure. And the prisoner stabs him to death. And as, like, Arthur's bleeding on the floor, the prisoner, like, cuts slashes in his face to make a permanent smile a la Joker style, and just is maniacally laughing in the background, and boom, that's it. The Joker folie à deux. I made this movie go by a lot more faster than it really did because the themes are there. They're extremely surface level, sure, but they're existing and they're present. But at the same time, I wish this movie was more enjoyable to watch. I also wish it wasn't like a rehashing of the first movie because it's like, I've seen this before and it just feels like this movie hates being alive. You know, it hates that it exists. Why does it exist? I don't know. Did like Todd Philips actually enjoy making this movie? Like, did he actually enjoy sitting down and write this movie, or did he go in it with the intent of like putting a giant middle finger up to the audience? Because it's like really disheartening to want to celebrate a movie that you actually did like and a filmmaker you did like who was like, let me make commentary, be it very, very thin commentary. I get it. I got it. This just was like sad. And I was having a really, really bad time. Don't get me wrong. Like, I can do like a sad, bleak kind of movie. Like, I liked Babylon. I just felt like I wanted this to have some sort of joy in it. And even in the moments where Arthur is like in love, they feel joyless. And I'm sorry, but like, call me what you want to call me. When I go to the movies, I want to be entertained. I want to feel emotions. And I don't want to be punished for having feelings. And I feel like this is what this movie is doing. Like, it hates that I have feeling about a thing. And I don't know what it wants me to do. But besides that, I mean, there were moments that really were effective. I don't think it deserves to be so criticized like it is being in like reviews and like by film critics and all that. Because again, it's a big risk. Did it work? Not all the time. But the moments that it did work, I was like, oh, this is the movie. I think it's technically still a good film. It might not be my flavor, but I wish someone could tell me why it's a good movie. Like, I know somebody who liked the movie and we've talked about it and they're just like, it's a good movie if you don't pull the thread. But I would argue that movies are meant to be like pulled at the thread. Unless it's like a Netflix movie, then like, don't, guys, you get what you get, don't throw a fit. And maybe I had too high of expectations for the guy who made Project X, but he also made the Joker. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too deep. Should I stop? Should I just like accept it for what it is? But yes, let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to know if you had a different take on this movie. If you think I'm thinking too deeply into it. I really don't even want to at this point. Like, I'm not trying to mine for gold. I really am gonna give it a C just because, like, you should see it, but you're not gonna love it. And if you do, that's amazing. Again, tell me why you love it. I would love to understand. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me. If you have any thoughts on it, like, let me know in the comments. I read everything, so please. And if you are new here, please subscribe, leave a like if you enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. All right.